tiny, jingling bell betrayed my entrance through the front door of the shop. Moving sale, the sign in the window had said. Why not just peek inside and take a look? My eyebrows went up as I looked around me. From the outside, the store looked fairly small, but now that I was inside, it was actually pretty big. Dark wood paneling covered the walls. Paired with the lamp lighting, the whole store felt like something out of a different time, like I'd walked into a museum. The shelves of merchandise seemed to stretch on well into the distance. On those shelves were quite a variety of products, all of them gleaming gold or silver. I peeked a little closer at some of the price tags, and they took my breath away, way out of my price range. I turned to leave, and nearly walked right into a man who was suddenly standing there, blocking my way. He was a very average-looking man, a little shorter than me, thinning hair, thick eyebrows. There were two things that made him stand out, however. His eyes, intense and slightly unsettling, and his smile, broad, but not at all warm. "Welcome," he greeted smoothly. "Hi," I replied, still a little stunned. "I saw your sign and thought I'd poke my head in." "A wise choice," the man told me. "This is a great time to make a purchase." "Well, it's quite a store," I said. "Anyway, I just thought I'd take a look." "Come, I'll give you a tour," the man said, taking my arm and turning me away from the door. I didn't want to follow him, but there was something about his way, his voice, that was almost hypnotic. Before my thoughts could gather, I was amongst the store shelves and the door was lost from view. "So," the man said, "what is it that you do for a living?" "I'm a financial advisor," I told him. "Wonderful! And how's the search going for a new home?" I was startled. "How did you know I was looking for a new home?" The man smiled. "I see a lot of people come into this shop. You just seem like someone who's looking to move up in the world. There's nothing that says success like a nice home." My skin crawled a bit. As subtly as I could, I glanced around searching for the door. All I could see were shelves. "Well," I said, "I can't really afford a new home right now." "Oh, I don't know. There's always a way if you ask me." The man came to a stop and pointed at one of the shelves. "Perhaps this can help." I looked. The man pointed at an ornate box. It reminded me of a jewelry box my grandmother had, but it was made of solid gold instead of wood. The tag below it said, "Embezzlement." I noticed the price tag and nearly choked at the cost. No thanks. I'm not looking to buy anything today. Like I said, I was just curious." "Of course, no pressure at all," the man told me with his unnerving smile. "Feel free to come back and visit us anytime at our new location." I forced a smile back and turned to find the exit. I hadn't taken a step before a sign caught my eye. I didn't remember it being there before, but I couldn't miss it now. Free upgrades, discouragement, anger, fear, selfishness, and much more. Interested in an upgrade? "Oh, no, that's okay." The man walked up beside me. "No? Nothing at all?" He smiled. "I've been doing this a long time. No one walks in here unless they're looking for something. And I'd bet you're carrying around something we can help you with. Seems like everyone's carrying this stuff around these days." I didn't say anything for a few seconds. The air in this large room suddenly felt heavy and thick, as if it was crowding around me. It seemed a bit harder to breathe. I was filled with a cold, heavy anticipation that made my skin crawl, yet was so enticing, I quickly could think of nothing else. Well, I started talking before I realized I was talking. Without thinking about it, I reached into my pocket and pulled out my discouragement. It It was a small, rectangular object, worn from age. I'd been carrying it around for a while. "Ah," said the man, "we can make that into something special." The man's grin grew wider, too wide. The corners of his mouth nearly touched his ears. I was reminded of the old cartoon of the Grinch Who Stole Christmas. It was unnatural. I saw it, but it didn't register fully in my brain. I was completely consumed by the discouragement in my hand. A tiny voice in my head broke through the haze and screamed at me to run, to get out of here. The hairs on my neck went up. This was a really bad idea, and I knew it. Yet despite my misgivings, I didn't run. Instead, I found myself handing over my discouragement to the man. He took it and walked over to a small counter. A few moments of work, and he handed me a larger, golden box. It felt heavy in my hand, substantial. "What is this?" I asked as I marveled at the box. "We've upgraded you to despair." He leaned against the counter, his face drawing closer to mine. "And with every upgrade, you get deep discounts on full-price items." He walked out from behind the counter and took my arm. Walking me a few steps, he pointed to the shelf we'd looked at earlier. The embezzlement box was there, just as it had been moments earlier, only now the price tag was less, much, much less. A vision of a new home popped into my head. It was lavish, and my heart began to pound a bit harder. Maybe I could borrow some funds from my clients. It wouldn't take much. I'd be sure to pay it back before anyone noticed. The man spoke from beside me. "Listen, you don't need to buy anything right now. I know something like this is quite an investment. Maybe there's something else we could upgrade for you. I mean, it's free, so why not?" The tiny voice in my head was still warning me, insistent that I was in danger. It was as if I was stumbling through pitch darkness on the edge of a cliff. I couldn't see the drop, but I knew it was there. Yet my hand was moving. From around my neck, I pulled on a necklace I wore. I'd never shown it to anyone before, but for some reason, I was showing it to this strange man that I'd just met. "Excellent," he said as he examined it. "Selfishness. We can upgrade this to all sorts of wonderful things. Cruelty, for example, or pride?" He pondered for a second. "I know. How about lust?" "Lust?" I stammered. No, I don't need that." But the man was already handing me back my necklace. It was bigger and shinier, changed from the dull brass that it had been to sparkling diamonds. "No," I repeated. Don't worry about it," the man soothed. "And look, more discounts." I turned to see a statuette sitting on another shelf. It was all abstract curves and black as onyx. The tag below it said, "Adultery." I recoiled. No, I don't want that." "Are you sure? There's no one you've thought of?" A lump caught in my throat. I shook my head, but I couldn't tear my eyes off the statue. "Things haven't been great at home lately. I do my best, but my wife just doesn't understand how hard I work, how much I do. Maybe I deserve this. There's that woman from work. Would it really be that big of a deal?" I took the necklace. It felt warm in my hand. The warmth radiated up through my arm and throughout my entire body. It was intoxicating, but not comforting. It turned my stomach as I began to sweat. I felt a hand on my shoulder. "Should I have that wrapped up for you?" the man cooed, nodding toward the adultery. I didn't answer. I felt odd. My mind was racing. A whole new world of possibilities seemed to be opening up before me. Yet in my chest there was, I don't know, a heaviness. It was like something was growing inside me, some kind of monster. Its tentacles seemed to fill every vein and artery, stretching throughout my entire body. There was a moment of panic, but there was no resistance I could offer. The door to the shop seemed a million miles away, too far for me to escape. I was filled and yet empty. I was excited and yet hopeless. My face felt strange. "So," the man whispered in my ear, "what do you say?" I couldn't speak. All I could do was nod. My face. What was happening to my face? I felt pain, like something with powerful claws was just behind me, pulling at me. Pain. Just then, the bell jingled on the front door of the shop. The man, with his unnatural grin, glanced at the door, then back to me. "While I put these items together for you, why don't you go see who that is? Maybe show them around a bit?" That small, warning voice in my head choked, gasped, and died. The door appeared again, but I no longer felt any desire to leave. As I moved toward the door, the grin on my face began to grow and grow.